In addition to spending my time on the road with these guys, I also work as a doctor up at UCSF. I work, the last 2 years, I've been living off my music, which means I'm broke, and practicing medicine for free as a way of trying to understand the detrimental role that capitalism plays in our healthcare system. And I can tell you that every time I practice medicine, when I'm practicing for free, it's an incredibly inspiring experience. Practicing medicine anyway is inspiring, but it does sort of infuse it with this very rudimentary sense of purpose and meaning that I wish we could support, just like we support the arts so well in this country. So this song was inspired by a patient. And I met this man on the last day of his life. I was one of the last people on planet Earth that he met before he left. He was 33 years old, which was how old I was when I met him. And he was a software engineer at Motorola, or an engineer at Motorola. And he had discovered 15 months before that he had cancer. And he had discovered it because he was just developing these strange bowel symptoms after riding these 30-mile bike rides on the weekends. So he went in to go get a scan, and they found that his appendix had transformed into this rare form of cancer that had spread all over his belly and seeded his abdominal lining, and each of these little seeds was growing and compressing his organs. And when I met him, he came into the emergency room. And instantly when I saw him, I saw the face of someone who had been fighting for a long time. His cheeks were very sunken, his eyes were hollowed, but in that hollow there was this fire and this spark that you could still see. And when he came into the emergency room, it was clear that one of his intestines had ruptured, and that there was nothing that we were going to be able to do about it. There was no surgeon that would take him to the operating room, because to do so would have been lethal at that point. So we spoke with him and his wife, and he knew what time it was. He was in excruciating pain, and he said, you know, just bring me into the hospital, I know what time it is, and just get me out of this pain. And so we did. We brought him to the hospital, but the nurses on the floor would not let him stay on the floor, the regular floor, because his doses of narcotic were so high that they would be lethal to, they were just nervous about providing these levels of narcotic with each injection. So they asked us to admit him to the ICU, which I did. And I proceeded to spend the next, 18 hours or so with this person. And the nurse in the ICU refused to give the injection because each injection was a potentially lethal dose of the drugs we were giving him. But they were necessary to get him out of pain because his pain was so palpable that everyone who walked in the room could feel it, and you could practically touch that pain. So I stayed up all night with him and was pushing drugs every few minutes, just chasing this pain. And as I did, he started telling me the stories of his life, telling me about his unresolved anger towards his father, telling me about the joy he found with his wife, who he had just married 3 years before, his frustrations of being part of the Silicon Valley tech world. And it was the most beautiful and interesting thing to meet someone on the last day of their life, and to see his courage and even his sense of humor in the face of what he knew, what was happening. After the night of chasing his pain, by morning, by dawn, his pain had finally subsided, and he managed to get to sleep, and then I managed to get to sleep, and later that day came back and found out that he had expired in that evening time. So I wrote this song for him, and it's a song without words, and we've never played it, and here it is. It's called 'Winters', and it struck me how, when he came into the emergency room, it was clear that one of his intestines had ruptured, and that there was nothing that we were going to be able to do about it. There was no surgeon that would take him to the operating room because to do so would have been lethal to, they were just nervous about providing these levels of narcotic with each injection. So they asked us to admit him to the ICU, which I did. And I proceeded to spend the next, 18 hours or so with this person. it's never too late to open your heart to somebody and to just let them just hit you. So here we go.